Okay, cactus kit. You know what time it is. It's assembly time. My least favorite time. The hardest time. It's fine. That's why I put it off till the end. And now I have to do it all at once. It may be a poor decision. The first cactus. Here's all the seed. Got all the parts. First cactus is this one. Okay. Got our dirt and pot. We already assembled that. You have to stuff them with fiberfill. So we're just going to stuff them to reasonable firmness. I might stuff everything first. Let's check everything. So we stuff these with fiberfill. Now these stuff with fiberfill. That's fine. Flowers, they don't need fiberfill. Tendrils, they don't. Cactus 4. Where does it say? Oh yeah, stuff with turn right side out. Which is cactus 4? This one. No. Yes. Yes, because back loop only. So we already did the sewing part. So we're going to stuff it. We'll do that one when we get there. Okay. Well, then we won't stuff them all at once. It's fine. Everything's fine. So I will probably use the back of the hook for some of these smaller ones, or my pinky. I don't think I'm going to stuff any of them super firmly. They just kind of need to stand up and hold their shape. So just like that, I'm going to stuff all these and be back. Cactuses stuffed. So I'm going to determine my back. I'm going to use the join seam as my back. So this is my front, just so I know where my front is. And maybe, just so I don't forget, because I am a forgetful person, I'm going to put a stitch marker on the opposite side to say, this is my front. Now, here are where these cactuses go. So it just says using the picture as a guide. So this one goes, I don't think it is super important, like exactly which one goes where. But looks like this one here maybe. This one looks short, and this one looks short, and this one looks slightly taller. No, come back here. That seems close enough. I don't think it matters that much. Okay, so let's see. So these three, for me, are gonna go along like this way. I guess you could arrange these however you want. And honestly, sewing wise, this is probably one of the kits with more freedom, because you're just kind of arranging them in the pot. So I won't, the sewing will be the same for each of these. I am gonna orient these so that these join seams are facing the back or the inside as much as I can. And then to sew these on, I'm just going to do it pretty simply, and I'm going to come under here, grab a part of a stitch. Since these aren't, you know, body parts that are look funky if they're not in the right spot, I can just kind of put them wherever. And then all I'm going to do is come under the stitch, pull through, and then just do this around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come under the dirt yarn and then under the edge of my stitch here, tighten down a little, and I'm going to continue to do this like this all the way around, and I'll be mindful of my shape. So like I'm moving this around a lot, so I don't want to end up sewing it necessarily like this from pinching it. So I'm going to keep shaping it like that and checking like, okay, so this next one, I'll go in maybe under here because we got to start curving around. And then shape it back up, take a peek and say, okay, so our next one, if this is the stitch we're going to go into, I guess we can go under here and that should be fine. And I'm going to continue this all the way around and I'll be back. Okay, I am back around to the beginning and I'm going to tie each of these ones off the same way, so I'll only show on this one. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go under a stitch here, try to get it to be sort of underneath where I've already sewn the cactus. Hold this so I can't pull the yarn all the way flat. Pull this end through, pull it to tighten it, and then I'll either run it up through the cactus or into the body of the pot, probably up through the cactus, like so. And then once I get it up here, let me grab my scissors, I will tighten this a little so that the end pops back into the cactus. And like that. So I think I decided to start with the furthest over one, so we're gonna move on to, I suppose, this one. And we're gonna do it the same way, so I'm just gonna place this one about here, which is opposite my join in the back there, and I'm just gonna sew this one on the same way. And since you really can just decide your placement however you want, I think I'll just sew all these on and come back. I'm gonna do it roughly, hopefully like this. But I'll be back after all these guys are sewed on. Okay, so here are my 5 cacti sewn on. Now for the next set of cactuses to sew on, we need these 3 bulbs we made, the white flowers, and this yarn. So I'm just gonna stuff these and I'll be back. Okay, so now we need to take color F and make cross stitches. So we'll just do a couple on each, or however many, and I'll probably just do 1. Where do we think the end of this yarn is? At the grocery store? There it is, okay. Where do we think my needle is? Do we know? We don't know. Ah, we do know. Okay. Crisis averted. So, let's see. So again, I'm going to try to be mindful of where my seams are as far as situating things. And I'm just gonna come out, like go under a stitch and go over an amount, and I'm gonna come out of this stitch in a place where I can go up for my next. So since I'm going across here, so I'm skipping this hole in the center, I'm going into this one, and I'm going to come out 1 down and over, so 1 below the middle one, and then I'm going to go up and go in 1 above, and I'll come out, for the moment I'll just come out wherever. But if I was continue. Actually, I'm going to pull this up so that I can just continually do these until I'm ready to be done doing them. So I'll pull up what I think will give me enough for this. Which way was I doing this? This way. For this piece, and I'll probably guesstimate too much because I always do. But that's fine. Anyway. Like so. Let's see. So I'm gonna come, I think over here. I'm gonna go up 2 rows, so 1 row, 2 row, up 1, then come out to the side in the middle row, like that, and then come across and go in here. Maybe we'll put one, they seem to have about 3. Come back. So this is my back. Maybe I'll put one like over here. So take my yarn over there. Okay. And we'll do maybe a slightly bigger one. So I'm gonna come up a couple rows and go in like I have been to the side and then across. And then I'm going to bring it out where I came in the first time through the same hole. And we're going to say that's probably enough for this one. I could put one around the back, but I plan to have it sitting, get back here, kind of sideways-ish, so I don't think I need to. Okay, so to finish these, I'm going to take these 2 and tie them together twice. And then I'm going to trim this and just run these ends inside here. So I'm going to stab that in, insert my needle like this, place the ends through, get through there. I'm going to hold on to this so it helps it pull through. Pull those up and through and trim these. So I'm going to do the cross stitches on these other ones the same way, and then I'll be back. Okay, so this is what I got on these guys, and now we sew these 2 smaller ones to the bigger one. So I want to keep this ridge kind of toward the back and this ridge kind of toward the back, so I think we'll put this one right here. And once I get started, this will be the same method as sewing the cactuses to the pot. So I'm just gonna hold this here and come around here, grab underneath a stitch, and then come underneath a stitch on the bottom and continue that around. So I'm just gonna finish sewing this one on and then use the same method and sew this small one with the ridge toward the back right here. So I'll do these 2 and be back. Okay, so here are they all sewn on, and now here are the flowers, and medium flower goes on large bulb, this one, and small flower on small. So I'm just gonna basically, where's my small flower? Tie this down. So I'm just gonna come under a stitch, grab one of these tails, my starting tail. I mean, if you don't have the two tails still, you can certainly just sew on like we've sewed everything else on. But I'm just gonna take these two and this messed up one and tie them together. Pretty tight. Twice. And then put the tails inside the cactus. And I'm just gonna do that for both of these. Because it's much easier. Okay. So I will run these tails in through the cactus and be back. Okay, so here are our flowers on, and it looks like they have this one right here. Like settled in behind that one. Or, yeah, I think like here in this space. But turned a little. Yeah. Now since this has so much, it happens to line up so that it's bare right here, I might add another thing. So now I'm going to sew this on the same way we sewed all these first ones on. And be back. Okay, so here we are. Now, the tendrils are next in what we made, but they go between this and the last cactus. So we're going to continue with the cacti with cactus number 5, because that's the next going around here with the yellow pom-pom on top. So we need the cactus and the pom-pom. Okay. So we're not stuffing this, which is good because we don't have a ton of fluff left. And instead we are shaping it. So hopefully I left enough of a tail. I may not have, and we may have to use different yarn, but I'm going to thread like it says, lay flat. So I'm going to lay this flat with just my seam being an edge. It doesn't really matter to me which edge it is. Find center stitches and using a running stitch. You know what, we'll actually flatten it this way then, so that this is in the center. That my tail is in the center, and the middle thing can just be the middle thing and we cannot care about it. Okay, so maybe a little bit over. Okay, that looks pretty good. Sew through the center of the cactus. So we're gonna sew this way and then fold, crunch it this way, fold it that way, and sew the other way to have 4 sections. So I'm just basically gonna poke through both sides and come out. we're trying to make this be in the center. I probably don't have enough of a tail, but that's okay because we have more of this color. And I'm just poking through both sides, and I'm feeling it come out with this finger, and then using that, since this is a blunt needle, that fingertip to help push it back through this side, through both sides. Just sewing our way up. Okay, and this one I'm gonna just, okay, now we're gonna fold the other way. Like this. And we're gonna do the same thing coming back down. So I'm going to come across the center there, and now same thing this way. It's a little harder to get it through how thick this one is, so I'm just going to go all the way through and come all the way back. And I'm not making these particularly small because they're not, I don't really think it matters. They're not structural or anything, they're just to give it some shaping. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to use a different tail or more thread to sew this to the thing. That is okay. Almost down. Okay, so now we have 4 sections of cactus, which is what we wanted. And since I'm gonna use a different tail, I'm gonna tie this off real fast and just run it into the inside. And then we're going to sew the pom-pom on. And give this a little bit of a encouragement. Okay, so here's this guy. Cool. Now, the pom-pom to the top. I'm going to pretty much do the same thing that I did with the flowers, but I might loop it around a couple of times to make sure it's secure. I'm going to insert my needle under the center top area, pull one side through, and actually what I might do to help this be centered is I'm going to now insert my needle going the other way, but kind of through the same spot. Take this tail through. Hey, that's rude. Alright, I guess we only have one tail to work with, but that's fine. That must have been a long piece that wasn't trimmed and not a true tail. Okay. I guess, let's see, which direction does this go? This way? I'm going to take my needle through the center so that it's going to be going through the loop that I tied around this. Okay, and then come back here, take it through the cactus one more time. Oh wow, I've bent this. That makes sense because I was twisting it around a lot, getting those cactuses in there. Good thing they include one with every kit. And then tie this off. And weave the end into the cactus. So then we are going to place this and sew it. I will grab some more thread with which to do so. Because I didn't take the shaping into account when I picked my length. Because I am not responsible. And I don't read things ahead of time. Okay. Nice. Pom-pom one. I will say this yarn is much less yellow than what it shows. And I think I am sad about that. Okay, so this one is going to tuck in between these two for me. Right here. That's where I'm going to put this one, right? Because this one goes like right here. And then the tendrils go there. So where do we think the end of the yarn is again? Thought I was all done with this one, but I'm not. I'm going to sew this one on pretty much the same, although this one isn't a circle. It's got, how did I do that? How did I lose that end? It's got that funky kind of clover-ish end. How have I done this? There are two ends in this small section of yarn. You would think they'd be easier to find. Okay. Alrighty. Everything's fine. Anyway. So. First, let's figure out how we like this. Let me see the box. I think like this. So not leaning, but trying to be flat and standing with this nestled in here. I think that looks good. So I'm just gonna do the same stitching, but I'll just follow the edge around. So I'll tuck in here when this tucks in and follow around. Now, I will say for sections like when it gets close in here, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just lean this to one side and do the stitches loosely. So like, let me get under there. So for a section like this, I'll like set it there, look in here, see where I think that stitch wants to go, and then pull that through. Now these are pretty movable, but you know, the cactuses, they move easily. And I'm going to catch another one, and I just don't pull tight. Settle that in there. Gauge where I think that one wants to be. Pull that through. I did this with some of the other ones in areas where it was not so easy to get my fingers in there. And we want this one to be kind of over a little maybe. It's a little bit of guesswork, but... And then once I get kind of past that spot, I'll tighten down. And then continue sewing where I can reach better. So this one I'm not going to come under probably as much like I was doing before because of the way that it's designed. So I might, I might catch the loops like this going down instead of coming up from underneath them. But anyways, I'm going to continue this around. And since I added some, when I get to the end, I'll just tie these together. And this tail and that tail and run them in. So I'll be back after I've sewed this one on. Okay, I've got this sewed on, but because this isn't stuffed and it's got such a small base, I'm going to run a stitch to secure it. So let me get my needle out here first. To this. So basically what I'm going to do is I'll probably just bring my yarn up to like right here, come out, grab a little piece of that cactus, back in. So I'm just running my needle up until I can feel it's about where I want it. Bringing it out. And then I'm just going to hold this here, judge where I think this should be placed. Just catch one of these real fast. And then I'm just going to go right back in. Back down to the bottom. And pull it tight. Now, where are my scissors? That's close enough. I'm going to trim this end, knot these two together. And weave these ends in through here, and then I'll be back for the next cactus. Okay, so there we are, and cactus 4, we need this cactus, the flower. I'm gonna put this flower on the same way I did the other ones, but I'm gonna come through both sides of this because this was something that we cinched. So I'm gonna take my longer thread, go across. How do I want this? Okay. Tie these two together and then just pull these ends inside the cactus. Okay. I might secure these on the inside too, just to steady the flower more. Let's see. So I'm also going to tie these together in here, and then I'm just going to leave them in here. Okay. Now, we are going to stuff this with fiber fill and then sew it to the cactus. I think I'm just gonna ignore this tail and get some more of the color to use as my tail to sew to, so I don't have to pull it from the bottom. And we're placing it right about here. Okay. I think Yeah. Now this looks like they cinched the bottom as well. Fold in half, sew together, turn right side out, using right stitch, gather both ends and pull tightly. So I think I am gonna close this up some because it does look like this is like a poofy one. So real quick, I'm gonna cinch this bottom too. So I'm gonna make a slip knot and take this and just tighten down on the hook, pull this through. Actually, bring that tail in here. Just chain. This is just to attach it. And then I'm sure that's more than enough tail. And I'm gonna take the end of this and run through each of these stitches to close this up. Just tucking that little tail in there. Okay. Eek. Okay. So now since this one's different, I'm not gonna sew this the same way I sewed the other ones. Just gonna grab some of this and then I'm gonna come in here, come across, and come across this way, and across the bottom the other way. Okay, and now I'm just going to go around and do a couple of stitches like higher up on the side of the cactus, but to where the little poof will be resting on the dirt, hopefully, and just do a quick stitch into the bottom to secure it a little better. So like that basically, and I'm just gonna try to do that a couple times to give it better stability. Okay, we're almost, where do I think that wants to go in? Right there. Back around. And I'm probably only 2 or 3 stitches up from the bottom, not far. Just gauging where, oh no, look, I captured this guy. I'm sorry, guy. Did not mean to do that to you. Can I still tighten that? Yes, okay. What was I doing? Right, finishing this up. Just gauging where I think it wants to be sitting and trying to do it there. Now, are we back around? Do we need one more? Okay. Now I don't feel like trying to tie that right there, so I'm just gonna stab in next to it and bring it over here where it's easier to reach. Make sure I don't catch any more cacti. Alrighty. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of the cactus, tie this off, tighten that down pretty good. I don't need this whole thing. Okay. Run this up through the cactus. Okay. Okay. Now all we have left, I believe, are the tendrils. So some of my tendrils I did a way I demonstrated to not have to weave ends in, but the ones that I didn't. So the end with the chain 3 is the end that you're going to use to sew. So in this case, this is the tail I need for sewing. This is the tail that needs to be woven in. Now a tail like this, it's going to be a little bit difficult to weave in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through my chain here. And then when I get to the next little bobble, I'm just going to run my needle into it. The yarn on. Pull that through, and then I'm going to pull this so that it is kind of at a natural length. Pull this a tiny bit so that the end will go back inside when I trim it. Just do that. So I'm just weaving back and forth through my chain and then into the little bobble stitch thing. Okay, now the instructions. Sew the tendrils in place between 4 and 2. Alrighty, so it looks like we can kind of just do whatever we want here. And it also seems like sewing these on is more just like tying them down. I don't think we need to really tie down the length, just get them attached and let them be as they will. I think I'm going to start with a long one just to see what our length is going to be like. So I'm going to start this pretty close to the base of this cactus. Could probably do this with the hook, honestly. I'm going to grab a stitch there. Now, I think I'm just gonna tie this and call that attached. Just keep the knot up here. I don't know why I want to do that really, because they're gonna just hang around and be tendrils anyway. So I guess if you wanted them to set a certain way so that they wouldn't move around all the time, you would want to secure them a little bit, like maybe 2 until you got to the edge. All right, so maybe we'll do that. So I'm gonna kind of lay this in here and then grab a stitch from the bottom and also just come through the chain like so, and then go through the chain, grab a stitch, and then I'm gonna go, I'll put one more, so back through the chain and right here, like that. I guess I'll come up through one more time. So I'm gonna tie this off. Just gonna grab a tiny bit of that. Knot it like that. And then run the tail through. So these are just kind of gonna be wherever you want them to be. I do think that that's nice having them secured a little bit so that they have a little direction. So I'm going to, I can take this out now, I guess. So the rest of these will want to be back. Okay, here we go. So here is the cactus kit completed. I think it turned out pretty well. And so there we go. It was kind of cute. So I hope this was helpful. And I don't even know what we're starting next. I don't know. I have a sloth planner. I know that, and other stuff. Maybe a flamingo? Did I get the flamingo? I don't know. Anyways, I hope this was helpful, and see you next time.